Hi, I'm Trifina, and welcome to Healing with Hope and Encouragement, where I share snippets from my recovery era, my phase of recovery, and I offer you encouragement, some scriptural encouragement to go with that, and the lessons I've learned. And it's a bright and beautiful day, and I want to talk about misconceptions that people have about healing and recovery. And people make general statements and have no clue about what they're talking about. And I want to make some of it clear for caregivers and for people who give support as well. And I'm talking about recovery and recovery from illness in particular. In terms of physical, it's recovery that I had to go through from a stroke, but recovery can be about anything. It could be from recovery from addiction, recovery from the loss of a relationship, recovery in general. And it's important that we understand recovery if we're survivors, and also if we are caregivers, or if we want to give support in any way. But there's several misconceptions, and it can hinder the recovery and the healing process, especially if you now have unrealistic expectations. So here are some common ones that I want to talk about, and I'll probably share some things from my experience on them as well. So, for example, one misconception is that recovery happens quickly. No. Everybody is different. And because you have know someone who recovered quickly from something doesn't mean it's not the same rule for all. So for example, my process wasn't quick recovering from a stroke, but it was quicker than others, right? So it took me almost 2 years, but I'm still not fully recovered. So it takes a while, and everyone is different. So for example, you see me walking, it doesn't mean I'm fully recovered, or it doesn't mean that I don't have residual things that I struggle with. So some people can take within weeks to recover. Some people take days, while some people years, and they're still not fully recovered. So don't put everybody in the same blanket. Each person's recovery journey is unique, and it may involve ups and downs, where some days you're doing really good and some days you just fall backwards. And so recovery does not necessarily happen quickly. Another misconception is that everyone will fully recover. And that's not true. In my case, it's not true either. There's a belief that maybe because your family member has recovered fully, then that goes for everyone with whatever disease or whatever thing they're having. Some people can return to their pre-level and some people won't. In my case, not yet. I have not returned to my pre-level, and I'm hoping to, but I may not, or I may not sure. Okay. So you cannot make a general statement about that. The reality is, while some people may achieve full recovery, others will have lasting disabilities or lasting issues with whatever they're recovering from. And so the extent depends on so many things, including the level of damage, and the speed at which someone was treated, the comorbid conditions. And so it's so wide for us to make general statements about that. Other people believe that certain illnesses will only affect certain age groups. And that answer is no. Sometimes you don't know, an illness comes out of left field and you're not sure why, how, or where. But I mean, it used to be older adults, but it's not so. Different things can happen to different age groups. And it wasn't so for stroke, and it's not so for many conditions. Physical recovery is the only focus. That is such a big misconception. And for me, I must say that partially I was that kind of thinker until I realized that no, it's not just physical. Most recovery is spiritual as well, and also mental and emotional, because the mindset with recovery is so important in terms of that emotional and that mental piece, especially when you're going through a chronic condition or a long-term condition, those significantly affect the physical mode of recovery. And so for my recovery, I had to do cognitive training. I had to do emotional and psychological training that helped me with my physical recovery. And so I had all kinds of therapy. I had a physical therapist. I have a occupational therapist. I had a speech pathologist, which helped me with my mental capacity. And while the occupational and physical therapy helped me physically, then I had my mental health therapist, which helped me with my mental coping. And then I also did my spiritual renewal daily. A person is made up of mind, body, and spirit, not just body. And so everything together. I'm going to try and connect the link below where I interviewed with this lady. Her platform talks about mind, body, and spirit healing. I talked in detail about how I was able to recover using all aspects of healing. And so I'm going to put a link in the description below so you could catch that interview, and hope you enjoy it. And if you do, share it. I hope you enjoy this one too. And if you do, please share it. Also like, subscribe. If this is your second, third, fourth video you're watching from me, why aren't you subscribed yet? It helps with the YouTube algorithms. So the another misconception is that, once you leave rehab, once you leave the hospital, you're good. No, it's been almost 2 years and we're still at work, right? It's necessary that you do the aftercare. We call it aftercare, and it may be long. It may require some sacrifice, but it's important that you do your ongoing support. I mean, people who are in AA from recovery from alcohol addiction, they still have to follow up. They still have to go to their meetings. And it's not just during times when they're troubled by alcohol. It's also when they're not, because guess what? They're there to support themselves and to support other people as well. Same thing with other physical illnesses. You don't just stop. It's ongoing support. It's adaptation to the new things around you, adaptation to your new abilities, and it goes on and on. And that nursing care is not necessary after discharge. Sometimes they have to come to your house to take care of you. I had a home health aide for months after, because I wasn't at the position where I could handle on my own yet. And my kids, they had to go back to school. It happened during the summer. And, even if they were here at the time, they could not manage me on their own. So I had to get nursing care. And so sometimes nursing care follows people home. Some people think that the emotional changes are temporary, but it's not. Some people who have recovery issues, trauma, illness, go through major emotional changes, and it's not temporary. And sometimes they go through anxieties, depression, and people think they will resolve quickly. They don't. And so, for example, if I have a headache, where do you think my mind goes to immediately? I'm going to think, I might think it's happening again. I may wonder if it is. I get scared. I get anxious. My children too. So it doesn't even affect just me emotionally. It affects the children. If I have a headache, they're like, do we need to call 911? They get anxious as well. People can get depressed if they don't return to their normal function. Can you imagine if they can't go back to work, if they can't provide? And so the emotional changes are not temporary. They don't resolve quickly. They last as long as the issue is, and even beyond, because there's certain anxieties that develop after. There's certain memories that they have of being what happened and being hospitalized and stuff, that some of these emotional changes last a lifetime. And that's why sometimes some people have to get the professional help to help them cope with changes. One of the misconceptions is that caregivers don't need support, but that is so wrong. And some caregivers can think they can handle everything on their own, and that seeking help is a weakness, and that's very wrong. Caregiving can be demanding, and it's crucial for people to support caregivers. For example, there's just a husband and a wife living together. One is sick, one keeps doing the care. Sometimes, if you can give family members some respite help, like just go there and say, take a day off, go do your nails, go, take a walk, take a breather, I'll do it for you. And I recognize that too. It was me and my kids. It was hard for them, and so they needed a break. They needed a relief sometimes. And if we can be that support for them, it's important that we go ahead and help. And counseling for caregivers is important too. Also, if you can get community resources, it'll be good. Some people think all kinds of illness are the same. No, we know they're different. All strokes are the same. No, they're very different depending on what part of the brain was involved, depending on what type of stroke. Was it a hemorrhagic stroke or an embolic stroke? Also, was it an arterial stroke? Was it a venous stroke? Mine was atypical. There was a clot that was in the vein, and that caused the bleed. So it's so different, and so treatment plan is different, and how they handle the different strokes are so different. Some people think diet and lifestyle changes don't matter, and I think we know that's far from being truthful. Lifestyle don't go back as it was. We always have to try to live that ideal lifestyle for whatever is going on in our bodies. In closing, though, I want to say an encouraging word, which is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's in Philippians 4 verse 13. Caregivers, we can do it. Family members, we can do it. Patients, we can do it. People who are recovering, we really can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And there are days when we're out of it. There are days when we're lost. There are days when we feel hopeless, but we can do it. We certainly can. The verse is such a powerful reminder that with faith and with perseverance, individuals can overcome challenges. I worked hard. I worked my butt off. I worked and worked and worked to get to where I am now. Was it easy? No, it was hard work. I felt like I was doing hard time in terms of the work that I had to do, the pushing that I have to do with myself, and I'm still working hard. But we can overcome challenges when we're recovering. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Don't forget to share. And if you like, click the like button, or you can make a comment. I want to encourage both survivors, people who are going through recovery, and caregivers to lean on your faith for strength and resilience, trusting that you're not alone in your journey. Bye now.